Welcome to the channel and to the BP series. This is BP number 5. I wasn't at BP number 4, but Danny Sultan from Cutaway took down the win. And the overall leaders are mostly unchanged. I'm sitting 4th overall, but we're going to jump right into this one. This is lap number 4. And on today's race, I feel really motivated and I feel really good. This is June and people are reaching their peak form, but this race has started off with a lot of attacks and games being played. Guys are letting the wheel go, and I've been forced to go around and close a number of gaps early on here. We just can't get a consistent pull on the front to save our life today. It's just attack after attack, chase after chase. It's going to be one of those days. And so I come to the front here as the pace is slowing. And again, we got one bike fit, one Cutaway flying by on the left, and I try and jump on it. A really big effort to jump on it. I'm actually worried I'm doing way too much here. And this is one of the fallacies of feeling really good, is you tend to overestimate how much you can do. I'm putting in a number of efforts, and there's only so many 1,000-watt matches that I have, right? And critically, you don't see Johnny or Chris anywhere in sight, first or second on GC. They're not engaging in these moves right now. They're being more patient. So that should be a little bit of a red flag to me. I'm not following one of my own rules, which is, brakes are unlikely to form in the first 10 minutes. Try and save your energy for when it actually counts. So we're going to jump ahead, and the attacks continue to pile on. Chris and Danny attack on the left at 8:45. They're brought back a little bit later, about a minute later, at about 9:50. You can see Chris in blue fading in back on my left there. And then as soon as we're caught, we immediately get another one from the front. George with Danny on the wheel again at about 10:10. They're sending it from the front. Skip ahead. 10:55, you can see them fading back on my right. We go slingshotting by them with a lot of speed, and we're past that 10-minute mark now. This is where the fatigue starts to set in the peloton. The move that could stick might go soon, because it's not going to stop until there's a break. Today is going to end in a break, or at least it certainly feels that way. You can develop a feel for the moment, right? It comes with experience, but it's taking longer and longer to snap each move back. You start to notice riders saving their energy a little bit more. And there goes Paul and Bill. 11:27, and 2 more guys get on the wheel. And that's a decently represented move. We got Cutaway, Bike Fit, and 2 strong guys from smaller teams. As this one gets away, you're going to hear me have a little conversation with Bike Fit. I'm trying to gauge if they're happy with that break, right? Because Chris isn't in it. So I poke and prod a bit with a question.
You guys feel good with that? Yeah, we got a man in there. I see it. We're good with that. All right.
You hear one Bike Fit rider say they're good with it, but critically, Chris says nothing. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I do think it's indicative that Chris wants to get in that move. So as long as he's in the peloton, the smart play is to sit on his wheel. He's going to make an attempt to get across at some point. But the hard part about racing is you get impatient. Get caught up in the moment. There's a lot of chaos, so I still know that Sweet Spot missed that move. They're obligated to work on the front. That's why you see Phil from Sweet Spot coming to the front here. And I'll stay near the front and even help out because my team missed it as well. There's only 2 of us, myself and Mike, so I don't feel super obligated to put in a ton of work because Sweet Spot brings like 8 guys to each race. But of course, we're in the same boat as Sweet Spot right here, so I'll go ahead and take a pull. And, I take a pretty hard pull here. And you're going to hear me flick the person behind me. It's Brooke. He's not going to work. Okay, so Cutaway's not going to work. They got Paul Davis in the move up ahead. I'm keeping the pace high to discourage any attacks until Brent from Sweet Spot, recognizing the situation, goes around Brooke and takes a hard pull. But Brooke is being really annoying here by staying second wheel and not working because someone's going to have to go around him again. And you can see this is what I'm talking about from my last video with the concept of who's left in the peloton that's willing to pull. Well, right now it's only myself and 2 guys from Sweet Spot who are pulling. So there's a break of 5 riders and only 3 people pulling in the peloton. A lot of people think it's the breakaway versus the entire peloton. No, the break actually has the numbers advantage right now, 5 versus 3. We have to get more Sweet Spot or solo riders to come to the front to control the breakaway. So Brent tires out here, and watch what Brooke from Cutaway does. He swings left so we can see everyone behind him, takes a peek, and then sends it. And I hesitate. But then I decide to chase again. And you know what they say about those who hesitate? He who hesitates misses the break. Or something like that. And I'm stuck here in no man's land working really hard to get on Brooke's wheel. And I'm not making up progress. So I end up shutting it down. There's people on my wheel. My heart rate is getting pretty high here. My max is only 186, 187. So this is up there. And Brandon comes in front of me from Bike Fit. I think he's actually here to slow me down. I'd be very surprised if he actually pulls. And as he moves left here, he actually just stops pedaling entirely. So I'm stuck on the front here, and this is not looking good. I don't know where sweet spot is, but you don't want to be in the front on a situation like this. Attacks come from the back. So I'm looking for any allies who are willing to keep this break close, but I'm not going to get any help here. Chris Jones on my right with the big attack on the kicker, and he's being marked by the two sprinters, Johnny and Mike. And that's the move. Two Bike Fit riders immediately come to the front to block for Chris. Remember that team chart from last video? All the teams are represented. Both the GC leaders are in the break. They both have teammates to support them. This is as big of a breakaway threat as you can have. And so I'm tired, my heart rate's high, but I just don't have the time to recover here. This is desperate. I have to get across. Running out of friends in the peloton, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. But this is what we train for. Let's get it. This was the hardest effort on the bike I have ever done. I am completely smoked. I'm not over exaggerating the slightest. I set 1 and 5 minute heart rate records. You can hear me breathing hard. I'm pretty sure I was drooling. Think back to the last time you set heart rate records and realize that I'm feeling that same exact thing right now. Only I'm in a breakaway that I have to contend with now, and I'm joining a dysfunctional break at that. It's just too big for everyone to work equally. And bike racing is a brutal sport. No one really cares if I'm seeing cross-eyed. They might give me a little bit of time to recover, but there's an unforgiving attitude oftentimes. And so as we slow down here, I take a huge sigh of relief. Thank God. I really needed this recovery. And I immediately tell Bill I'm in trouble. My legs are fried. And less than 2 seconds after telling Bill I'm in trouble, we got trouble up ahead. I'm not sure what Chris is saying. I think he wants the total civil construction guy in the orange to pull. Maybe he's been skipping pulls. But Chris swings off and lets a gap open, and my only strategy is to stick to Bill's wheel here. Bill's a crafty racer, a phenomenal breakaway rider. He's been kind of my mentor as we've moved up, as I moved up to racing the A race. And I trust his wheel. I mean, I'm counting on him to lead me through the fighting that's brewing the breakaway. Bill has a knack for understanding the dynamics of this race. It's actually incredible. You know, we would talk a lot before the races, and he somehow predicts exactly who's going to make the breakaway move that sticks. And if you remember back at 11:27, Bill was glued to Paul Davis's wheel. And that was his prediction on the day. He told me Paul Davis was the guy to watch, and he thought the break was going to go about halfway through. And that's exactly what happened. Chris is being marked by Johnny here as he goes around us to the left. I want no part of that yet. I'm still trying to recover. I'm trying to stay near the back here. And Sheridan from Bike Fit is fading back in front of me. He's a great wheel to be behind because he's so tall. He gives a great draft. So I slide in second to last in the break. Only Paul's behind me, and this is exactly where I want to be. There's some fireworks going on up ahead, but my only focus right now is on saving energy relative to what they're doing. I'm really trying to get close to Sheridan's wheel. There's a split in the breakaway, and I'm on the wrong side of it, but I really just don't care. And importantly, I'm still near the back, so nobody's going to be looking at me to close it. So it looks like Total Civil and Noel is hauling us back slowly but surely, and I need this. I feel like the rest of the break is tiring themselves out a bit, and I'm getting that much needed recovery here. So I'm feeling more optimistic again. My heart rate's coming down to manageable levels, and we're going to jump one lap ahead. The order's been shuffled around. I'm on Johnny's wheel now, and we're in full game playing mode in the break. Chris just stops pedaling entirely, lets his teammate go up the road, and this isn't going to stop until we get a splitting of the break. It's just too big of a group. Johnny isn't pulling through either because he has a teammate up the road. So there's a group of two, one Cutaway, one Bike Fit. It's split now. This is risky. It's probably my turn to pull, but I'm going to play that not pulling card as aggressively as possible right now, which means I'm going to try and fly under the radar as long as I can. This is my best chance of winning, but you also have to balance staying away from the peloton. We're slowed down all the way to 23 miles an hour here, and two of the other riders without teammates, Noel and Mike, take up the chase and start bringing those guys back. A little over a minute later, and we catch the group of two, and the elastic is going to snap soon. The breakaway is tired. Chris sends another attack, and I'm going to overlay Paul's point of view here. Cutaway is showing their first signs of cracking as Johnny needs protection from Paul. Doing 30 miles an hour here. This is very intense as Paul has to ramp his speed back up. I get gapped through this corner as I don't take it all that well. I have to punch it to get back on the wheel. And this is a very hard pull. Chris is not relenting. It's just the four of us now with both the GC leaders ahead of me. Paul's not exactly in my draft yet either. And there's a good gap behind him as I'm doing 400 watts in the draft. Chris swings off after pulling over half a lap. Johnny doesn't come through. Chris starts yelling and goes right back on the gas. But he does stop shortly after. We start freewheeling, and this was actually my biggest regret in racing all year is I didn't take this pull right here. I am tired, don't get me wrong, but this breakaway is going to fall apart if we don't start rotating. And maybe I pull and get dropped, but maybe I pull and Johnny starts pulling, and we all make it to the end. But having more sprint power profiles, Johnny and I kind of have the ability to be pests, right? It's hard for guys to take us off the wheel if we're not contributing. So Paul the Microwave Davis comes to the front. The guy just oozes watts. Look at his camera, by the way. He's got drool coming off his face. What an animal. So Brooke, the third Cutaway rider, bridges across and immediately comes over the top. Chris and I are in a really bad situation here, surrounded by three Cutaway.
Got nothing, bro.
And I say I got nothing, which is legitimately true. Cutaway is going to start attacking him. Chris and I are kind of like pseudo teammates for the moment because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and our fates are currently intertwined. But he's looking behind for his actual teammate. And some of the group behind has caught us, but his teammate Sheridan is not one of them. And you can see why Cutaway is the best team out here. They're so strong, and they always seem to be in sync. Chris can't stand up to three Cutaway. He's going to get steamrolled. But I guess he realizes that he's not going to get any help, and he starts pulling Brooke back himself. And I'm just not quite at this level of fitness. I mean, Paul, Chris, and Brooke probably all have around 5 watt per kilogram FTPs. I just can't match that, you know? So I'm sorry I wasn't able to help, but a valiant effort here by Chris to pull this break back. And as we catch Brooke, I think he's really tired too. He was just trying to give his teammates a rest. And then something completely unexpected happens here. I was shocked. Noel and Chris are arguing about something on the right. I have no idea what this is about. Okay, so the group behind has caught us, and the breakaway's back together. But you're going to see coming into frame on the right, that's Taylor from the peloton. The peloton has caught us. I don't believe it. I mean, I think the best way to sum it up, as Chris said last lap, is you have to pull. And I think that was directed at Johnny, but I'm equally responsible for not pulling. So lesson learned, I do better in the future. Jumping ahead half a lap, and Paul actually rolled off the front, and Chris attacks again. And they can tell the peloton is tired, so the two of them just keep sending it. Brooke and a District Taco rider are making their way across, but I'm going to show Paul's perspective here, who's been off the front solo for a lap, as Chris doesn't slow down to work with Paul and goes right by. And Chris is finally solo. This is what he wants. He's going to go into TT mode, and he's a former TT national champ.
Brooke, go, go, go. Go, Brooke, go. Brooke, you need to go. Now, Brooke.
And Paul's exhausted. Look, you can hear the panic in his voice as he tries to rally Brooke to bring back Chris. I mean, this is such a hard BP. And so back to my perspective, I link up with my teammate here, and I try to rally him to pull us back to the group of 4 off the front.
Mike, help pull this back. I just really came across.
What? I thought Mike would be fresh from sitting in the Peloton. After the race, I had to go back and watch Phil's footage, and sure enough, my teammate was one of the key people working to bring the breakaway back that I was in. So I was really upset after this race. I mean, look, if you don't know, don't chase your teammates. But I take full responsibility here. We weren't racing as a team yet, and it's my responsibility to get us on the same page. We were still racing as individuals. So we're jumping ahead to the last lap. You can see the break right up ahead there. Mike and I talked about it after the race, and we squashed it and got on the same page for the rest of the year. And sometimes you need this as a team to come together. So I'm going to try and spin this positively. Next episode, I'm going to give any new racers a quick list of things you can do when your teammate is in the break. You can see we're really close to the break. We have a chance to catch them at the finish if someone really pushes it here. Sweet Spot missed that move. I would hope they would send guys to the front, but they don't. And that's kind of failed team tactics on their end too. There's just not enough firepower at the front, and ultimately Paul's breakaway group of 4 does make it to the end. I'll show his perspective for the finish, so here we go. Brooke did a ton of work for Paul and also leads them out.
Go wide, Brooke, go wide, go wide, go wide.
Paul tells him to go wide, and it's all Paul and Chris from here. And Paul takes down the win with a 393 watt normalized power for this race. That's bananas. So thanks, Paul, for letting me use your footage. I'll leave a link below to his full video, and we'll take you to the field sprint that I was in. I find my way onto Johnny's wheel again. That's prime real estate on the last lap, but we're only fighting for the top 3 spots here. And this is a tired field sprint. Taylor and Danny seem to have the best legs left from the field, and I'm able to pit Johnny here at the line, but Sam pips me off camera to the right, and I finish 8th again. First spot out of the points. So this is my favorite BP all year. I freaking loved this one. I learned a lot of lessons, and it was such a good battle from Cutaway and Bike Fit all race. And it was very fitting that it came down to a sprint between Paul and Chris. Those two definitely earned the top 2 spots. So I hope you enjoyed this. These videos take a lot of effort to make. If you could leave a like, it really helps me out. BP number 11 is next, and I hope to see you there.